I said in my preview that Ryan Garcia has everything it takes to be a star. He's got the look, the charisma, the following, the talent. He just needs that big win to make him a bona fide superstar. And that is exactly what Ryan Garcia delivered last weekend. From memory, there's only one win I can remember that could really compare to this moment. And that's when Conor McGregor defeated Jose Aldo, who had previously been the pound-for-pound best fighter in MMA, undefeated for however many years. Some expected it, but it was shocking. It was shocking the way he did it. It was shocking who he did it against. And all of the trash talk, all of the build-up, all of the hype culminated in a masterful performance where the whole world had to acknowledge him. And that is exactly what I'm looking at with Ryan Garcia right now. It doesn't mean he's the best fighter in the world, but what it means is that he is a star. Great fighters aren't always stars. Stars are special. And Ryan Garcia is special. It was 5:30 in the morning when I got up for this fight. I was exhausted. And yet, within however many minutes, I'm jumping around the fucking living room like a lunatic, thinking, holy shit, he's actually going to do this. It's not that I didn't think he could, but to see it was mental. Because there was so many reasons to doubt Ryan in this fight, and none of them really for his talent. Haney was undefeated. Garcia wasn't. There was a blueprint there on how to beat Garcia, perfectly put out there by Tank. You'd have thought with how intelligent of a fighter Haney has looked in his career, he would have studied that and replicated it. Then there's the mental health worries. Jesus Christ, about a month and a half ago, I was sat asking if this fight should even go ahead. And some people are mistaken that now, thinking that I thought that Garcia couldn't beat Haney because he's not a good fighter. That was never in question. I have always rated Ryan Garcia. But when a man is doing the things that Ryan Garcia has been doing, it's just not logical for him to have a good boxing performance. But there's not a lot of things about Ryan Garcia that are logical by the looks of it. And then when he finally missed weight by not just a half a pound or a pound, by over 3 pounds, in my head I'm like, there's no way you have done the proper preparation to have your best performance here if you're not on weight. Being on weight is a sign of everything else that's gone on in the camp. So the whole thing just gave signs of, I'm not saying he's going to have a terrible performance. I was worried about him, not performing well, I must admit, but the whole thing was giving bad signs. Because there's some people now sitting there going, no, it was all part of his master plan, Brian, and you fell for it, you idiot. And I'm like, really? Do we think everything was just part of this master plan now? Because some of this shit was real. I, for one, don't think that Ryan Garcia negotiated a bet with Devin Haney prior to weighing in, where he said, I'll pay you 500 grand per pound of body weight that I miss on the scales, and then went ahead and deliberately missed weight to keep Devin Haney guessing and paid him over £1.5 million as a forfeit. Is that some sort of master plan to you, like? Because it sounds pretty fucking stupid to me. I think there's a big difference between being concerned for Ryan Garcia's mental health and doubting his ability to be a good fighter. I'm not doubting his ability. I haven't doubted it since Luke Campbell. When he beat Luke Campbell the way he did and stopped him when Lomachenko couldn't, I knew he was legit. Never doubted that. But what I do doubt is his mental health, because he's pulled out of fights due to mental health problems before, and then he's been seen being very erratic. I do think he was also joking, and that's where the smoke and mirrors played into his favour. But I don't think it was all smoke and mirrors. I don't think it was all bullshit. But I am fucking delighted to have been wrong, because what a fucking entertainer Ryan Garcia is. And boxing is better when a superstar like him is in the sport. And look, some of it was trolling, and do you know what? Ryan Garcia, what a fucking show he put on. You can't even talk about this fight without the build-up. This is one of the greatest fight plus build-up, just entertainment spectacles I've ever seen in boxing. I mean, let's look at some of the things he did on the run-up. So this is Ryan in a nightclub, like days before the fight. You're watching that, and he's also like not looking on weight. You're like, this guy's fucking crazy. It planted the doubts in our minds of like, what's going to happen here? We've never seen a boxer behave like this before. And if you want different results to what other boxers get, do what they're not doing. Put that element of doubt out there in people's minds. And partly this was genius from Ryan in the trolling sense. It wasn't that long ago he was acting like he'd been sectioned.
I'm not in possession of my phone. I can't get access to my Instagram.
He literally was tweeting this out himself.
My cards are locked.
My cards are locked.
I'm okay.
It's like literally, right? So this was definitely trolling now. I fully believe that this bit was trolling. There was hours of him slurring his words on Twitter Spaces, not sounding like he was in his right mind at all. Like, that's a long way to go to portray a character. So some of this shit was him just Still enjoying the life. And he's even confirmed since then, I drank and smoked most nights of this training camp. He's only going to encourage Conor McGregor. I hope he realizes this.
Once you go to a swimming pool party with Diddy, it's like you don't even pay attention to what the he's saying, bro. At the end of the day, once your booty hole got tickled, it's over.
What the
Devin Haney is stressing the out. No.
Why do you think he's stressing?
He's probably with his dad just scratching his head like, I'm scared, Dad. He's talking about Diddy again.
He's literally accusing Devin Haney of having his booty hole tickled by P. Diddy. And this no Diddy shit has just gone to the next level. This was one of my favourite moments.
I know I act my ass off. You want to see me improv right now? I'm a actor. Give me a scene. All right, I got it. Bill, it's Devin. He's not waking up. Bill, I'm serious. Let's scratch out the boxing bullshit. He's not waking up.
This is how clever this kid is, right? He looks down at the head as if he's got his head in his hands. He's actually acting there.
He's not waking up.
That's actually fucking genius, that. This is one of the funniest pricks we've ever had in boxing. And he's also been recorded talking to Jake Paul saying it wasn't really beer he was drinking at the weigh-in or whatever. Here's the issue. The original press conference, when his nose was twitching like that, and like he was having these like weird spasms and looking like he was on a massive come down, that all looked very fucking real. That wasn't acting. This is where he's blurred the lines brilliantly. But I do think him talking about Bohemian Grove and the Illuminati for hours on Twitter Spaces is very part of who he really is, and it is a bit weird and mental. So did we all make a mistake in watching all of that and thinking that there's just no way this man could possibly perform at the elite level in boxing, especially going against a pound-for-pound ranked fighter in Devin Haney, and pull off a win when you're not fully concentrating? Like, he did a fucking music video. It came out the day before the fight. How on earth can you do that and all of this other bullshit and be focused enough on Devin Haney? It doesn't make logical sense, because Ryan Garcia isn't logical. He's like a high-functioning guy who also likes to dabble in the party life, also likes to have a lot of fun, and sometimes doesn't seem all there. We're looking at him through our own lens of our own life and thinking what I would need in order to put myself in this position to be performing at my best. He doesn't compute that sort of equation. He's just high-functioning. He can do things despite chaos in his life. He's rare in that sense. And I honestly think a lot of people just underestimated his actual talent. People seen him lose to Tank and thought, oh well, he's lost to Tank. Tank's elite, Haney's elite, they'll both be too good for him. Getting beat off of Tank Davis, there's no shame in that. Tank is a genius boxer with really amazing gifts as well in the power in his hands. He's very special. And also for context, Ryan had to agree to all of Tank's demands to make the fight, because Tank, he doesn't want to fight above his weight. He's very cautious, right? He learned from Mayweather. Everything has got to be on his terms, and he's not willing to be the bravest fighter out there and take on ridiculous challenges like that. It's all on his terms. And because of that, Ryan Garcia was weight drained to fuck in that fight. If you look at the difference in him physically, it's like two different people from this last fight to the Tank fight. We got to see Ryan actually at his best in this fight, in terms of, not his fitness wasn't at his best, but in terms of his strength, his size. He was a healthy weight in there. And that's why we got the punching power we did. And it's ironic that a lot of the people who were taking away from Ryan's win after missing weight against Haney, saying, oh, well, it's not a legitimate win, he missed weight, are the same people who legitimize Tank's win over Ryan when Ryan was completely depleted, weight drained to fuck, and clearly nowhere near the best version of him in there. But that's fine. But this isn't fine. Even when Haney himself balloons back up to a very similar weight to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are a far closer matchup in size than Tank and Ryan. Ryan had to be really drained to make that. So here's the bottom line. Ryan agreed to fight Tank. He took the terms. He lost like a man. Haney knew Ryan had missed weight. He accepted the fight. He lost. When you agree to fight, it's a legitimate win, whatever the fuck happens, right? People need to stop trying to make excuses to take away from Ryan's achievement here, because the two men signed on the dotted line, and Haney was quite happy to take that 1.5 million. So the win is a fucking win, no matter how much you don't like it. And if you don't, cry harder, because Garcia dropped him multiple times. That happened. You can't rewrite history just because you don't like it. I'm sorry, that's life. And as much as I didn't think Ryan was going to win this fight because of all of the chaos, I did say a few things in my preview, which I think points to the fact that I did believe he had a chance. I said Ryan Garcia absolutely believes he can outbox Devin Haney. As much as I don't think that that's going to happen, he believes that. And self-belief is massive in these kind of fights, especially when you're coming off the back of a loss not long ago. I actually said Ryan Garcia has more natural gifts than Devin Haney, more natural talent. But I just thought that Devin, because of all the learning he's done and how technically he performs, he would have had the answers to deal with that one-trick pony, Ryan Garcia. He didn't. If anything, this was like the guy at school who doesn't really have to revise for the exam and just turns up and gets an A, against the really hard-working guy who will put in all the revision but can only get a B. And the natural difference in their talent was really crystal clear in this fight. From the very first bell, it was like Ryan Garcia could hurt Devin whenever he wanted. And I think only Ryan's lack of faith in his gas tank kept Haney in this fight, because he kept having spurts of attacks and then just resting, and he put in cruise control, gave a few rounds away throughout the fight here and there, just so that he knew, all right, I've got enough to make it to the finish line if I have to. And in that sense, Ryan Garcia, for someone who hasn't done enough of the work in his cardio, and clearly he was on the sesh. He's admitted it. But he knew, even still, despite not being the harder working athlete, I can just knock it into cruise control, coast a little bit, make sure I've got enough in the tank. He managed his energy really well. One thing I want to give him credit for is a little trick he learned from fighting Tank Davis. And I love to see when fighters do this. We've seen this from Canelo learning from when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Similarly, Tank, a student of Mayweather, Ryan, a student of Canelo a little bit. That lead hand that Tank Davis would constantly have out in the face of Ryan to always keep an eye on the position of Ryan Garcia to stop him from being as unpredictable in landing those quick hands. It really worked in that fight, and Ryan's obviously learned from it because he used this a lot against Devin. We see him doing it here, and the minute Devin flinches, Ryan's out the way. And Ryan actually used quite good defensive tactics in this fight. I'm not a massive fan of that shoulder rolling style, and I don't think Ryan does it particularly great, but he used it well to stop those body shots. Another thing he struggled with against Tank. So again, this is not someone who's just relying purely on athleticism and gifts and that. He's actually studying the game, and he's smarter than people give him credit for. So we had the big shot early on in the first round, which made everyone realize, okay, Ryan can hurt you. We just knew that immediately, and it didn't take long. But instead of putting his foot on the gas, Ryan managed his energy, as I've said, took a few rounds, and it did look like Devin was coming back into the fight, exerting a bit of defensive control and landing some decent shots, but nothing put a dent in Ryan. Nothing looked like it was damaging at all. There was one shot that got a bit of a reaction out of him where Ryan's like, yeah, come on then, I eat that. But he didn't look hurt. And Devin had a good round in round 5, and that was it. It was over after that. Ryan completely took over. And that's the opposite of what we thought was going to happen. We thought the longer the fight went on, the cardio of Ryan would dwindle and the technical ability of Devin would increase. But the reality was, for all Devin was giving it the big one about you're a one-trick pony, it was him who couldn't fucking adjust to what Ryan was doing. You're the one-trick pony. Devin's used to being in a position of control in every fight and just outlanding his opponent. He didn't know what to do when he was coming from a position of being behind, of having to get the opponent's respect. He didn't have an answer. And it begs the fucking question, what the fuck was the game plan? And I think what helped Ryan was a little bit of what I've alluded to in my preview about you got to take Devin Haney out of that psychological defensive state of mind where he's in the lead, he's defending the lead, you're chasing him, it's exactly what he wants it to be. Ryan stuck it on him early, put a dent in him, got Devin chasing a little bit, made Devin feel a bit inferior, like he had to get back into the fight. Then he lulled Devin into a false sense of security. And I mentioned about you can't keep him in that defensive state of mind where you're chasing him all the time. You've got to let him feel like the aggressor a little bit. Relax him. And at the end of that 5th round, when Devin had his best round, out of nowhere, Ryan Garcia in that 6th round just scores wilder. Out of nowhere. He'd done nothing for the past couple of rounds. And out of nowhere, he just goes straight at him, puts it on him. And we see towards the end of the round, when Ryan is unloading shots, Devin is smiling, he's got his tongue out a little bit, and he's like, oh, you're coming back into it now. That was the last time he smiled again in that fight, probably that week, because it just got worse after that. And round 7 was where the gap became more and more obvious as Ryan Garcia drops Devin Haney. It didn't look that bad when he first dropped him, but it was when he started to try and get up, and he can't even get his hands out in front of him, and his head's planted to the floor, and you're like, oh, fuck. I'm on my feet in the living room like, holy shit. Like, I couldn't fucking believe what I was watching, because as much as we'd seen the power of Ryan, to see Devin Haney, someone who I thought was just such a high-level boxer, getting dog-walked, like, that was fucking, like, shit, man. And look, I do have to give some credit to Devin Haney. To get up from that, it takes championship heart. It takes balls, right? But then you need to try and turn the fight round, and he did not have a fucking clue how to do that. It was survival mode after that, as best as he could. He was grabbing a hold of Ryan constantly. Ryan lets a little shot go. The referee takes a point and gives Devin Haney as much time as humanly possible to recover. That was an utter disgrace, that. And he was doing it all night. He wasn't punishing enough for a lot of things all night, but to take a point away for that one little thing when so much other rule breaking was going on from both fighters, but especially Devin. I mean, Devin was holding on for dear life at points. To deduct a point from Ryan Garcia and potentially take a win away from him, that was disgusting, especially when you backed Ryan Garcia to finish the fight from round 7 to 9 at 25 to fucking 1, which I did. Devastated. I only had a $5 on it, but fuck me. That would have been great. But the bastard referee fucked us on that. And also, there was multiple times where Devin hit the deck and weren't classed as knockdowns, and at least one of them would have been an extra knockdown in my head. So as much as I thought Ryan could have ended the fight then, the opportunity felt like it had gone. He stuck it in cruise control quite calmly, and I gave a couple of rounds up. Then in round 10, brutalizing Devin once again, drops him badly. Haney holding on for dear life, no points taken again. And it was just strange as Haney kept getting dropped again in round 11, watching him not do the basics, which I expect from him, which is to get the fuck out of there when you're in danger. But he wasn't in that defensive state of mind that we know him for. Again, he was feeling like, I've got to prove something. My ego, I've got to stay in your face because otherwise I look like I'm losing. Bro, you're losing. The tactics were shocking. And all of the things I documented in the preview about how when your toe moves forward, Devin Haney's toe moves backwards, and he's always aware of where to be, when to be, all of that went out the fucking window. It was like watching a totally different fighter. And part of the reason why people predicted this fight so wrong, me included, wasn't just because of all of Ryan's antics. We just thought Devin Haney was better than what he was. And we had reason to. He'd beaten Lomachenko, all right, debatably, but that's a legit a win. Even if you debatably beat Lomachenko, it's a hell of a win. But let's be real, we've never seen Devin Haney in there with a real young, hard, fast puncher where he can be quick enough to catch you, despite how clever you are defensively. And we're going to test that chin out. Maybe this is why Devin Haney is such a fucking defensive coward at times. Because he knows he can't fucking take the power. That fight, he might never be the same again after that. Because he already fought very difficult to watch. He was already very defensive, very scared, constantly safety first. Terrible to watch. God knows what this is going to do to him and the doubts it's going to put in his mind. And Ryan closes the show, showboating, laughing, doing his tongue out, dancing in front of Devin. And honestly, I loved that. Just because everyone said he didn't have a chance, I was questioning his mental health. I wasn't questioning his talent. Some boxing commentators were saying, this guy is not a real fighter. Social media guy, I think it's Timothy Bradley, was saying, if he wins, he only got 1% chance of winning, and I'm going to quit boxing commentary if he does. He was really spoken badly about here, Ryan, in terms of his talent, which I don't understand. So for him to be taking the absolute piss out of Devin Haney at the end, I'm like, you fucking talk your shit, bro, because you fucking walked it. That's for damn sure. And I've got to give credit for Ryan in understanding just how to get the most out of his talent. He does this thing where he's right on the edge of range. He has this ability to know how to maneuver his opponents into throwing the shots that he wants them to throw, not because he wants to take the punch, but because he wants to create the opening to land his punch. And he got Devin to bite and play into his hands. And as much as Ryan occasionally had to take a little shot from a right hand or whatever to land the left, he was happy to do so because he knew he could handle it and he knew Devin couldn't. And that's sort of where this fight was won and lost. And Devin clearly didn't learn from that Tank game plan, because as much as Tank's got power, he's not stupid. He's not like, I'm just going to outpunch you at all times. I don't have to respect your power either. So occasionally Tank would get the fuck out the way and give some respect to the power and speed that Ryan's bringing. Devin didn't learn from that. He wasn't doing that, and that's Devin's normal game. And it's ironic people will bring up the weight. I think Devin got exposed as a bit of a weight bully himself. Devin's always the bigger man in a lot of these fights, and when he was in there with a guy who's just as big, maybe stronger, powerfuler, quicker, well, how good are your skills then? Because I'm not sure they're as good as we thought. And Bill Haney, fuck me, his dad, the second coming of Big John John Fury. He needs to wind his neck in, right? Because this man has been talking about his son like he's the next best thing ever. He's saying he's going to be the greatest of all time. Wake up call, mate. A brutal one, because your boy is lucky he didn't get the light shut off. Any other decent referee and he's going to sleep. Even with that referee, if Ryan Garcia was just fitter and had a bit more belief in his gas tank, he would have got him out of there fairly quickly within the first few rounds, I think, because Devin just can't take the power. As much as the weight cut can drain you, and I accept that may have played a factor in Devin not being quite as good as he normally is in terms of energy and whatever, I really don't think this result changes now, because the gulf is massive. It's not a little gulf, because Devin Haney just can't take his shots. Yeah, they went 3 for 3 in the amateurs. Do you know what that is, though? 3 rounds each, head guards on, bigger gloves. This is fucking glove, 10 ounces, or it might have been 8, on the fucking chin, with Ryan Garcia now with that full-grown man strength. Now we find out who the better guy is. As technically close as they might have been, when that's the case, it's as simple as you just can't take a shot. And what was Devin Haney wearing on his feet, by the way? Like, this is a boxing match, and you're wearing something that looked like a mother's pair of slippers, or something that, like, Kim Kardashian would release as part of her new Skims line. Like, we have a fucking boxing match here, mate. You need something that works. It's like this soft, slippery material, mate. What are you doing? And look, I don't want to be too harsh on Devin, because I do respect him as a fighter, but the guy talked a lot of shit. Come meet me in the center, and let's see what you're really about, bitch. It's like, mate, every time he met you in the center, you didn't know what the fuck was going on. You were contemplating life.
I will never lose to a white boy in my life. I don't care what nobody got to say. Listen, can't no white boy beat me on any day of the week.
I don't know why he said that. Was he trying to hype the fight up, whatever? Still, it just makes you look stupid, mate. You don't need to bring race into this. You can tell him, say Ryan Garcia's just a shit fighter. You don't even need to mention it. It just makes you look like a twat now. And what made him look like an even bigger twat is celebrating the loss. You're trying to convince the judges of something. Fuck me, bro. When you can't even stand on the fucking ropes. I feel for the guy. He's just like, been battered. And you're trying to be like, but like, it's not even it's not even the remotely believable, man. There's not a soul in that arena. I thought you won that fucking fight. That's really bad, that. So what does the future hold for both of these lads? Well, they're both young, so they're both going to improve potentially. I think Haney has a lot to learn from this and can come back stronger. I worry about Ryan still, because he's clearly not living the ideal life of an athlete. And look, you can get away with this when you're 25. But look at Conor McGregor. You can't carry on doing this. At some point, injuries will become more regular. You need to start living more of a cleaner life, because you can get by on talent to a degree, but when you're matched in talent, which is going to happen at some point very soon, it'll come down to who wants it more, who's been dedicated, who's put the training in. You can't keep taking rounds off like this. Some people will put you, hold the fire under you when you're trying to take a round off. He needs to still learn from this, and I'm not sure he can be as dedicated as other guys at this level. So that's my main concern for him right now. He's mentioned going up to 147 to avoid this weight draining crap and actually be the best version of him. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see more. I'd love to see Ryan Garcia win a belt, man. When blokes as entertaining as him, or belt holders, boxing is at its most fun. That's his last thing he hasn't achieved yet. He's just beaten one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in boxing, or allegedly. That's what we thought beforehand. Putting a belt on him would be a great look for him, would elevate him again. And for all I said, Devin can still improve, he's young. This is a bit of a disaster for him, because when you're a defensive safety-first fighter, the reason people watch you is because you're undefeated. That Mayweather-style story. Oh, will he lose? Oh, he didn't get hit there. He didn't get hit there. Oh, wow. But no one really gives a shit, really, if you've lost the O, do they? You've already been smashed to bits now, so what do we care if you're avoiding punches? You need to start winning fights big time. And how are you going to overcome this mentally? Because you've just been demolished. Will his chin recover? Will his brain recover? Confidence wise, how is he going to overcome this? Because I don't have an interest in watching Devin Haney again after that, to be honest. The only time Devin Haney is exciting watching him fight really is when he's getting his arse kicked, clearly. I think that this is a nightmare for him. He already wasn't a draw. He is not a pay-per-view draw. He's boring in the ring. He's fucking boring out the ring. And there's no need to watch him now. We've got the O out the way now. You're fucked. So I think he's in a really difficult situation in his career. And that dad who never shuts the fuck up needs to just pipe down and hope for the best with his son and not put the pressure on anymore and let him go away and hopefully evolve as a fighter and do a lot of work to grow, because there is clearly a lot of work that needs to go into him. More than I ever thought. That being said, I don't want to take away from the great performance from Ryan Garcia. This was one of the most spectacular, entertaining events because of the build-up and the hype and then the actual fight being so unpredictable I've seen in boxing. It was a fucking amazing show. I loved every second of it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Were you shocked? Did some of you expect it? But let us know what you think in the comments below. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.